I think maximum participants have joined us, and we can move ahead with this session. So, Sanjay ji, are you able to hear me? And other participants also?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, absolutely.
Shall begin the session. As everybody is familiar that we have entered the stage 3 of Investor Summit, and the summit is approaching. I believe it's the high time for us to understand the concept and nuances about ideal pitch deck. So for this session today, we have with us Sanjay Saini ji. I would like to introduce him. He is a Chief Growth Officer at Sincera Technologies, US, and his core competencies are cloud, data management, artificial intelligence, healthcare, customer relation management, business growth. And apart from this, he also is a startup strategist and advisor. So I would like to welcome you, sir, for being with us for this valuable session. And I'm requesting you to continue with the session and please go ahead with today's talk on ideal pitch deck.
Namaskar.
Namaste,
Sadaf
Manu
ji.
ji. How are you?
Sadaf ji.
Yes, sir.
Sanjay Saini ji.
Anji, Manu ji. I can hear you, and Manu ji. How are you?
Am I audible?
I think
मेरी आवाज आप तक आ रही?
we can
Yes,
hear
sir.
you, Manu. Looks like he's not able to hear us. Sadaf, right?
I think so. There is some issue. Let me see to it.
So no problem. I can get started. Is it okay if whoever is able to switch on their video, if they can? It will be great to see everyone, if possible. If not, I will also switch it off. And then while everyone is trying to do that, Sadaf, maybe you can help me. What is the profile, right? Participants, what are we doing, right? Is it, is it about pitching to investors and for getting funding, or is it about pitching to some government agencies to get a grant? Just give me a little bit of context. Manuj is back. I don't know if he's able to hear us.
Yeah, I would like to tell you about this, brief about this entire program. So
Yeah.
we are conducting one program by the name of Investor Summit. So in this program, we were committed towards trainings. So we were giving students training about how to do a startup. So, this training was, planned in a way that we can shortlist student at each stage, and we can only get the, people who are serious enough to do a startup. Now we are approaching towards summit. It will happen on 3rd, 4th, and 5th March 2025. In this summit, we'll be inviting investors, and these startups will have to pitch for investment.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a good context. So this
startups that are with us today, they are basically from various domains. Like some are doing a startup in the healthcare sector, some are doing startup on AI ML, and some are doing startup over agriculture, drone formation, innovations. So few of them are also associated with service-based startups. So they are giving some kind of services, and they have built a startup around that. So this is the profile, just a gist of what these startups are doing. Total, we have 12 startups with us today.
Okay.
And that's how we have been doing this entire program.
Understood. Okay, that's wonderful. So it's mainly startup founders, right? And this third, fourth, fifth event, who is the audience there, Sadaf?
Basically, this will be just one-on-one session between investor and the startups. So they will be directly doing the investment pitch.
No investment pitches.
I,
Okay.
I would like to add one more thing. All these startups are at starting stage. Basically, they are looking for pre-seed and seed money. So
Pre-seed seed money. Okay.
yeah, they have initiated this. They have just gone into this path just recently. I would say 6 months, or some of them are also doing it from past few years also. So, but
Okay.
everybody is looking for pre-seed and seed money.
Okay. That's very helpful. That's absolutely wonderful. And first of all, congratulations to everyone. I think taking this step is very, very important. You know, it's a little bit extra about me. In just adding to what Sadaf was telling us. You know, this is my probably fourth company which I'm running right now. I've had at least one failure, a big one small failure, one success, and this is the fourth one. And I think by God's grace, probably in about 3 months, we should be exiting this venture also, where I am right now. We are in almost final stages of getting acquired, which is also an exit path for a startup, right? So that's what I bring to the table. I hear pitches as a startup advisor. I work with some universities here in Dallas, where I live in Texas, and I've heard pitches, probably multiple pitches, right? And some are really good, some are really, not making sense, right, for various reasons, and we'll touch upon some of those things today. These some of the learnings which I'm going to share. Some of them will look very obvious and very sort of, okay, yeah, this makes sense. Some may be, they're just coming from experience, because there are certain things which work in this world and certain things which don't. That's why I wanted a little background on what's going on. But I think let me try. And then another thing which I was thinking is that, it'll really help if we can make it very interactive, right? I will go through some slides, but then slides, you know, they can only do up to that much. But I would really encourage that, keep noting your points, something which you're not able to understand, or a curiosity or a question arises. Maybe we'll have some breaks in between the session, and then we'll take some questions instead of waiting right at the end, right? So otherwise also just raise your hand on these online platforms are wonderful. They just raise your hand on the platform, and then I can point out or look at, um, and then ask, kind of give you a chance to ask that question. Okay, is that fair?
Yes, sir. I think we should go by this way only, because this is the strategy how you can understand it in better way. So every participant is requested to please make it interactive. Wherever you find it, you are in a need of asking anything, please go ahead with this, so that we understand each and every small intricacies involved in this ideal pitch deck.
Okay, wonderful.
Yeah.
Let me try.
And participants, whenever the question will be asked, you need to respond quickly and without any hesitation.
Okay, let me see if I can share the screen. WebEx is always a challenge. Sorry. Okay. I may be knocked out of the meeting. I'll join again. Okay. It's asking for some permissions to share.
Those who are comfortable, you can switch on your cameras. It will make session a little interesting, and it feels like we are interacting with, you know, participants. It gives a good sense to session.
All right, let's try again. My screen visible, right? Yes.
Yes, it's visible.
Yes, yes, sir.
Okay. All right. So I think what we are going to discuss today, by the way, so my background, I told you all. What I've also noticed is that even when I was starting off in this journey of entrepreneurship, right, this is the last thing which we understand, right, as entrepreneurs, right? We understand our products or whatever we are creating in, for the world, but this is something which we always struggle, right? And like we say here in Texas, we suck at this, right? So I think let's try and see why this is happening and then how we can help. So what is our goal? I think our goal is absolutely securing investor funding, right? That's why we are pitching. There are other reasons why pitch decks are used, but this is why it matters, right? Because we want to secure funding. We want to build that credibility, which results into sort of next stages of funding. And then what we are also trying to do is avoid rejections, right? Because no one likes that. And then especially in the journey which we are working hard to build our products. And then when we struggle because of because of our sort of not so good attempt at pitching our idea, that becomes very disappointing, right? So that's what we are trying to discuss here, and then see what learnings can we use to minimize the rejection aspects and obviously succeed. That's the reality, right? There's nothing else. This is it, right? The investors, what are they looking for? They're looking for only one thing: how will you make them money, right? If anyone has any disagreements on this statement, let me know, because I think sometimes whenever I run this class, there are disagreements sometimes that there are other things. We can discuss that, right? Anyone disagrees on this?
No, completely agree.
All right, that's good. There are nuances to this statement, which I will contradict myself later in the presentation, but right now let's focus on this aspect, right? It's the money, and then there are money plus plus things, right, which matter to them. But we'll see. So what are they looking for, right? I'm starting the reverse, right? Instead of going through the pitch deck, let's reverse engineer. What are they looking for, right? And you'll get this the slide deck. I have no problem sharing, so don't bother about noting down exact points, right? But that's what they're looking for, right? There's a problem, there is a solution, right? Is this fitting, right? That's what they're looking for. They're definitely looking for scalability in the market, right? I may have a great idea, but if there is no market for it, then what is the use of that idea, right? And that's the point where we need to stress and we need to spend some time and understand if there is market, right? Now, many of my students have questioned me earlier also, is that what if we've already created a product right now and we did not bother about uh, understanding the market, right? But so that then my general comment is that it's okay. You've created a product. Maybe there was no market, or maybe the market existed that time and it has disappeared now. It can happen, but there is something called as pivoting in the process. You can actually pivot to something else using that base which you've already created, right? So it's a bummer, but it can still be managed. Then what they're looking for, obviously we talked about revenue, which is money. They're looking for traction, that what have you done so far, right? And we'll talk more about how to show this, right? They are definitely looking for more than that. This is just an idea, right? I understand that we are seeking pre-seed seed, but my assumption is that some of you who I met last year when I was there with Dr. Manuji are having some patents and some great ideas. Some prototypes have been created, right? So that's good traction, right? That's what they look for. And then team, right? So team is very important, and I think we will talk more about the team and the composition and how to present the team properly so that there is confidence. And last one is my favorite. That's the business model. I don't know if anyone attended. We did a workshop last year on business model, on understanding and creating and depicting the business model, right? That's they are also looking for a business model, right? So what is business model probably is out of context for this session, but I can briefly answer a question if anyone doesn't understand a business model. Okay, that's good to know. Everyone understands business model. So
it would be great if you can give overview, just an
okay.
overview of business model.
Yeah, see, business model is I think is in simplistically fun, and I have a slide which I will show because that's a prerequisite of creating any pitch deck, right? Is that how are we going to, what is the problem which we are solving? What is the solution and how are we solving this? Most importantly, how are we going to make money by solving that problem, right? So this is where I'm going to contradict that what investors are looking for is, yes, how will you make them help them make money? Along with that, how will you help them solve a world problem or whatever problem you're trying to solve? So that aspect also comes along with money, right? So in short, that's what it is, right? That same point. What are they looking for? They're looking for how will you make me money, and then hence because they are looking for that, their business model becomes important, because business model is nothing but understanding of how will I make money, right? Sometimes we have great ideas, and then when we start looking at those ideas and building some of those ideas, and then we come to know that, you know what, this is a great idea, but no one will pay for it, right? So then what? Then does that become a business, or does that become a good business model? Absolutely not, right? So that's what they're looking for, a viable business model or a good business model, right? All right. From a pitch deck perspective, there is always a sort of a debate on how should it look? Should it be a very detailed version? Because I don't want to miss, right? That fear of missing out. That what if I don't put it on the slide, I will miss it. So what I've also used, and probably I've created this slide deck also keeping that in mind, is that we will be sending this deck to you through an email, right? So if you look at my previous slide, I was talking about only these headings, and then we were not talking about what's written, and I'm not even reading what's written there, right? Why? Because this is, if I'm emailing this deck to you, then probably this will be useful to you, right? Because you may not remember what we discussed. What we discussed is exactly written here in these points, right? But so that's the distinction. Sometimes it's a great idea creating two versions, right? One is when I'm pitching, and second is when I'm emailing. Most of the people, right, or investors, or any presentations we've seen, right, customers, or whoever you are pitching to, will ask for a copy of the presentation, right? That's why I always keep two versions. What I tried this time is that, can we create an interesting pitch deck which can be used for both purposes, right? So that's what I'm trying to do here. And but I just wanted you to know that it's okay to have two versions. There's a rule which I generally follow. Sometimes I don't, depending on what the situation is, but it's called 10-20-30 rule. Not more than 10 slides. Take 20 minutes. I don't know what is the time slot which you'll get. I'm assuming it will be not more than probably 30 minutes maximum, right? It cannot be more than that. If this is your first pitch for a pre-seed, right? Then the font size has to be very visible. Sometimes we present in large audiences. I don't know if this is a very sort of a one-on-one session which you're having, but sometimes it's like the demo days, right? The accelerators and some of the VCs and some of the venture capitalists, they conduct what is called as demo day, right? It's in large halls, and then people are not able to see what you're presenting. So size 30 font is a great idea, and this is coming from Guy Kawasaki. Is a I don't know if you don't know him, just Google him. You'll know who I'm talking about, right? So that's his principle. I always use it. The 10-12 slide formula. Now we are talking about, and now we're getting into the anatomy of a pitch deck. What is required to be captured in a pitch deck, right? Now we are getting to that stage. Before we get there, are there any questions in whatever we've talked so far?
Sir, can you explain exactly what is traction? Revenue we know, but traction is getting validation with the correct customers, or what
No,
is it?
traction is, Dr. Gauri, traction is what have you done so far? That's what traction means for this stage, right?
Oh.
What has happened? And I have a slide in which I will show you, how to capture traction, right?
Mhm.
Is it like I have a patent, I've got my patent. That's
Mhm.
traction, right?
Oh.
Show it boldly, talk about it because you've worked hard to get it. In an investor, that goes a long way because, so you already got a patent. That's great. Now, what do I do with the patent, right? There's so many patents sitting there. But no, wait, I have a prototype, right? That's traction, point number 2, right? That's better than just having a patent, right? So what have you done so far, which actually gives you this right, I would say, to ask my money, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yes.
All right. So I'll give you 2 more slides. Kai Kawasaki said 10. I'm going to say 12. Okay. But cannot be more than 12, right? Just make sure that you're not. I've seen slide decks with 36 slides. There was one crazy one with 71 slides. I'll show you some of those. Some slide decks, pitch decks are longer because they're very technical in nature. But for the stage in which you guys are, do not do that. Don't put details, right? But we'll talk. We are getting into the anatomy now. So first is the intro. Very powerful, right? This is your 30 seconds attention gaining opportunity, right? For example, when I started, I said, all entrepreneurs suck. That's a method to gain it, sort of an attention that, do I really suck? All of you must be thinking, right? Because we are all brilliant scientists. How can we suck? But you suck at this. No wonder. I was also sucking at this unless I figured it out or I practiced it, right? So that's your 30-second introduction. Describe who you are in less than a minute. Is it possible? Can you do this in less than a minute, right? Describe who you are as a person. No. Describe what is this business about in 30 seconds. Is that possible? It's possible if you are really sure about what that business is, right? But there are various aspects of intro. We'll go through that. Then comes the problem, right? I always tell Dr. Manu and whoever I've met on this topic is that if there is no problem, there is no business, right? If we are not solving anything, there is no business, right? People argue with me. My wife argues with me that no, That's not true. Sometimes businesses are created when you're not solving a problem. But when you go deep into that successful business, you'll understand that some problem is being solved. Now, I've heard arguments like, "What problem is Facebook solving? It's such a successful business, right? What problem have they solved? Anyone? What do you think?
Connecting with family or friend.
Connecting family and friend, Ranveer, is right, but why is that important? What is that problem? Family and friends are connected in any case, right? You're on the right track, by the way. But I think what they were solving is a very simple thing, is that because families are getting sort of apart from each other, distances are increasing, then how do we stay in touch? That's how they started. And then they got into various other things. And Facebook had a very interesting business model. And that business model was, there was no business model. Even then they were successful, right? People always ask me this question, is that there are so many companies where there was no business model. Business model means there was no revenue stream for Facebook when they started, right? Why are you saying that a problem has to be solved and a revenue has to be generated? Only then I will get money. Facebook got money. Yeah, you're right. But that was a very different time. Now that time has already passed, right? That time is not there. And then how many Facebooks exist in the world, right? That's another point. So focus on the problem. Then what is the solution, right? That has to be captured in the deck. And now what I'm talking about is the anatomy of a slide, of a pitch deck, right? How it should look like, what are those sections, what are those slides, what are those 12 slides? Or if you can keep it to 10, even better, right? So intro, problem, solution, right? Solution is the core of what you're doing, basically, right? And then how, and there are some tips on how to present the solution, right? Where we generally get into the weeds and we generally go very deep into our solution because we're very passionate about it, right? It's my patent, it's my idea, it's my solution. Let me talk more about it. Let me introduce tons of architecture diagrams. Sometimes people do that, right? Not required at this stage. Now comes the market. We talked about the market. Is there market for it, right? If yes, can I size it, right? I don't know if you guys have heard of these terms called TAM, SAM, SOM, right? These are we have to depict them clearly. This is nothing but to tell the investor that there is substantial market which exists for my product to sell, right? That's what market opportunity means. Business model, we've already talked about it. How are we going to make money? What are my revenue streams? What is my pricing strategy? Are there any key metrics which I can capture while showing my business model, right? So that's my business model. Then comes traction. I think Dr. Gauri was asking, what is it? We've talked about it. It's proof of your progress, right? It's like I'm writing it here. Is there some revenue, right? Some little revenue may have already been there, right? Because I was able to sell my product or my services to someone and they paid for it, right? Although we were just testing the idea. Happens, right? May not be any revenue. It's okay. Do I have some interesting partnerships which will add value? That's traction. Like we talked, patents are traction, prototypes are traction, right? So capture those. Then competition, right? How is this problem being solved right now, right? You're solving a problem. I'm sure there's another way somebody is solving a problem. What you're solving is probably doing it or making it better. Most of the situations will be like those, right? For example, if there is a formulation of a pharmaceutical drug, right? It's effective, but its effectiveness is not to that extent. And I'm solving that problem by introducing another formulation, which is going to be more effective, right? So that means, how is this being solved? What is my competition, right? So capture that, absolutely. Then go to market. Go to market is how will you acquire customers? Like how will customers find you? It's as simple as that, right? Is that, will I run marketing campaigns using social media, or will I go into some technical journals and then advertise there, or is it just word of mouth? What is it? How will people find me? Right? That's my go-to-market strategy. Capture that. Then team, right? The expertise of the team members, how they fit into the whole business, right? We'll talk more about this, depict that. And team also should include advisors, by the way, right? So don't miss out if you have any advisors who are helping you. Now, financials, right? Everyone wants, because it's all about money. So show me the money. That's what financials mean. It is that, okay, year one, I will do this much, and this will be my performance. This is how I will grow, and this is how, there are so many other nuances to financials, which we can talk about, but there should be a slide on financials. And then the ask, right? This is the question which you're asking. I need funding, right? Okay. How much do you need? What will you do with it? All that aspects of the ask, right? And then the closing, right? That's sometimes, that gets very tricky, is that I'm not able to close it. What is my next action, right? That's something which I think should be clear at the end of the meeting. Many times you'll not get the next action, but at least attempt it, right? And then leave your contact details. That's always a great idea. Why? Because then, what if there are 10 people pitching their ideas and then somebody is just making notes, and then after consuming all that information, they want to contact you, then how will they do that, right? So it's always a great idea. So some of these are basics. I'm sure all of you know, but that is what a typical, I don't want to call it an ideal pitch deck, Manuji and Sadavji, sorry, but this is how an effective slide deck should look like, overall, with some variations here and there. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir. It completely makes sense. Can we discuss one case from the startups which are present here?
Oh, we can do that. So that's what I wanted to check. So I have some details on each one of those, right? So next slides will be digging deep into each one of those, right? Do you want to go through that, or should we simply take a case and then someone can share a screen and then I can
To
tell you?
understand slides first.
Yeah, let us go through the slides. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So Manuji, here is our favorite, the lean canvas, right? Why am I bringing this up again? Is that where is this information going to come from, right? I have my that event on March 3rd, 4th, 5th. There are so many slides I need to create. Yes, you need to create it, but then do I have this information with me? What I'm challenging everyone, I don't know, Manuji, if this team has already done work on lean canvas or the business model canvas, right? Because if they have, then creating that pitch deck becomes much easier, because a lot of information is actually going to flow from this lean canvas into the deck in a more beautiful sort of a format. I think that's what I wanted to check, if we can relate each one of those slides to these boxes which I have here, right? Is this audience aware of our lean canvas exercise which we did?
Yes, we have done it.
Okay, wonderful. That's great. So if anyone has not done this, Manuji, they would probably contact you, right? You can help them, or I can help them, whatever you want, because this is required. If they don't have this, I think there will be a struggle creating a good pitch deck. This is an early warning, sorry. Okay. Obviously, we will not spend time on the business model canvas. Now the intro. Now intro is, like I said, it's very short duration. Keep it short, because we have to just do it in 20 minutes, 25 minutes, right? I don't know how much time are you guys getting. Any idea on those third, fourth, fifth event? Each participant will get.
That will be around 20 minutes.
20 minutes. Okay.
20 minutes. Yeah.
Wonderful. That aligns. So So which means this is like, how will I gather attention of people, right? What are you competing in that intro or in this pitch which you're making is actually, obviously, there are other people, there is one investor or two investors or five investors, there is limited money available. They would look for the best ideas, something which they think is the best. They will invest in that. So there's always a competition with your colleagues and everyone else in the world, right, who is pitching to them. But there is another culprit, and that culprit is something which we all are experiencing, and which is our cell phones, right? Most of these, or many of the investors, will be busy, right? They will be just looking at their cell phones and looking at their emails, and wife is calling or husband is calling or whatever is going on, right? Or some text is coming. So that's also your competition. How do you overcome that competition is by striking that in this intro, right? Is that if you talk something very interesting, start with humor, if that is your style. Start with a personal story. That always work, right? How I started is with my personal story, is that I had big failure, then a little success, and then one final success, and then now I'm heading for the fourth success, right? Fourth startup exit, which probably will be a success, right? So start with a personal story. It's always a great idea, but you have to gather that attention so that they say, okay, this text can wait. Let me listen to what you're saying, right? That's the point on the intro. Typically, what we talk about on the intro is that we are so and so, we are doing this, is solving this problem, and we are doing this like this, basically, right? If you can keep it in 30 seconds, 40 seconds, don't talk about yourself. That's what is not required here at this stage, right? Don't talk about it. I am so and so, and I am this, and I am such a great scientist. Don't talk about that. Okay. Now comes the problem. I think we've talked about problem enough. Again, if you've done spent good amount of work on the business model canvas, on the lean canvas, you would have already figured what is the problem which you're solving, right? If not, then go back to the lean canvas, fill it. The multiple iterations of that are required to actually understand the problem which you're trying to solve, right? So that's your problem. Clearly define it in the pitch deck, because you would have already figured it out if you've spent time on the lean canvas, right? Sometimes we mention that here the problem is big enough to be solved, right? But we don't substantiate it with some sources of data, right? Obviously, you should consider that when I'm talking about that, oh, there are 5 million people who are suffering from diabetes, for example, in a state, then where are you getting that data from, for example, right? So make sure that you're substantiating your data. And this is a common theme. Wherever you're presenting numbers which are coming from the world or your research, then you have to substantiate it with with some source information. Okay. Another thing which you can talk about on the problem statement is that, yes, this problem has been there, it has been solved. There are alternate ways how this problem is being solved right now. I have a better way to solve it. It can be a faster, better, cheaper way to solve it. Why is it important now to be solved? Sometimes the problems exist and no one is solving them properly, but why has this become important now to be solved, right? For example, again, taking that example of diabetes, these chronic ailments are increasing, and hence my app becomes more important now than it was 5 years back, right? So that's about the problem. Solution, I think we know our solution. We will be, the key on this slide is that do not include a lot of detail. Do not include detailed workflow diagrams, architecture diagrams. That's not required. Simply talk about how is your solution solving the problem which you're describing. So this problem solution fit, which we talked in one of my earlier slides on what investors look for, that is where you'll start getting the attention, right? Is that, okay, he described a problem, which looks great. but this is how the problem is being solved, and so there is a tie-up, right? Make sure that that tie-up is very clearly focused. Value proposition, I think that's a given. Again, lean canvas will help you understand your value proposition. What is that value which you're bringing by solving that problem? Sometimes using visuals is a great idea, right? We've seen that earlier in some of the presentations which I've seen. Sometimes there's a brief demo. The demo cannot be like, okay, let me log in and then, you know, you're wasting 5 minutes in setting up the demo. If you are doing a demo, then it has to be very, very quick. If otherwise, skip it. Do not do it, right? If it's a physical product, carry that product with you, right? We've seen, I think, some people who were doing that, those fiberglass projects. There were some products, some interesting products they were always carrying, which is a great idea, right? So do that, show that even if it is online on the camera, you can show it, that this is how the product will look like. That always goes a long way. So include that as part of your solution slide. Now comes the opportunity. There's, this is the TAM, SAM, SOM. Again, going back to lean canvas, you would have already figured this, but this becomes a little tricky on understanding what these terms are, right? The total addressable market is a larger pie, right? What you have to communicate is that your serviceable, obtainable market is what, even if we capture this, it's substantially sized. The message which you're giving on the slide is that the total market is about, say, $50 million. Out of that, the serviceable addressable market, which everyone is servicing right now, is, say, $10 million. I'm in the state of Punjab, and I'll be limiting myself currently to the state of Punjab, and hence I'll be solving a problem worth $2 million. Is 2 million big enough? That's what investor will kind of assess, right? So, but that's how this funnel will flow, basically, right? From a larger market size to a smaller one to a much smaller one. One important thing to note here is that do not go small. Okay, don't think that, okay, even I made that mistake once when I was pitching. I'll show you that slide deck. We were saying, even if I get 200 customers, that's good enough for me, right? Don't make that mistake. If it is a bigger market, don't go conservative. If you're able to substantiate the market size with data, go bold, right? That's okay. They will say that, oh, where are you getting this information from? Why do you think that this is $10 million worth of market? If you have sources, no problem. Don't go too low, is what I'm saying, basically. And you understand why, because investors are looking for larger market, products which will solve larger problems or will address larger market size, right? So that's why this is important. Again, where to get this information? There are various sources. I think I've mentioned this to whoever has contacted me so far, is that there are, your own industry people will tell you some of these. There are research reports available. Internet is a great source. People are now saying, oh, I will use ChatGPT, Perplexity, and all that. Use them, absolutely use them. But then, what is their source, right? Because they are learning models. They're learning from the various sources. Validate before you simply pick it, right? If you're using any of the Gen AI models to get this information. Always validate. If you have a coach or a mentor or any advisor which you have, validate with them. This is what the market is telling me. Is this okay? Or this is what my research is telling me. Does this look okay? Right? Very important slide. Business model. I think we've talked about it. How will you make money? This is what it is, right? That there can be a revenue model when say, for example, if I'm creating, say, let's talk about a pollution control equipment, right? How will I charge? Will I charge a monthly fee and lease the equipment, and that is how I will make money? Or will I sell the equipment, and that is how I'll make money? What's your model, right? How will you make money? That's what they're looking for here, right? and then if you know, sometimes you'll know, sometimes you may not know yet, is that that equipment, which if you're saying you're going to lease it to the government so that they can install that equipment at polluted places, and hence they will pay you a monthly fee. What is that fee, right? Is that something which you know at this stage? If yes, mention it. Right? This is how Dr. Gauri, you were asking about traction. This is how probably one way to kind of show your traction. Right? In January I did a prototype test for 3 customers. 6 months paid pilot was signed. Right? These will give confidence to the investor. Right? Is that okay? So they did a prototype test which was successful. Because of that, then they got a 6-month paid pilot by one customer at least. You've started receiving inquiries after that. That's traction. Next wave of product development is going on. That's also traction. I already received some investment. That's traction, definitely. Mention it. Okay. Sorry. Now, talk about competition. Have you identified your competitors, first of all? Sometimes we look at, the competition is only similar products. Sometimes it is not. Sometimes other products are solving similar problems, so consider them also. Like I said, your competition when you're pitching to that investor is not only your other people who are pitching, it's also that cell phone, right? How do you compete with that cell phone and take his attention away from that cell phone to your pitch, because you only have 20 minutes, right? So that's there are ways to show. For example, this is one very common way to show competition, that my product is this, competition 1 is doing this, competition 2 is doing this, see how I'm better than them, basically, right? And these can be features here. It's a very common way we have seen, right? TV manufacturers do it. Everyone does it. If you can find a more interesting way, why not? But at least do this. Now comes go to market, right? How will my buyers buy? How will my buyers find me, right? That's what go to market strategy. This is basically marketing, right? Is that what's my plan? They would want to know. Now you may not have executed on any of these plans, but at least you have some idea. If you have idea that okay, my product, like that environment product which I talked about, how will you communicate this to the world, right? How will you shout about it, right? Will you maybe it's a direct to approach to the government department, the Department of Environment Control or whatever, and then meeting them. That's my go to market. That's okay. You don't need to be an advertiser always. Some products will need social media advertising. Some products will need you know going into some conferences and talking about those that your product in those conferences, and sometimes you need a distribution channel, dealer network and all that, right? So that's your go to market. What's your strategy? Have you thought about it? If yes, mention it here. And this goes a long way, is that this gives the investor that confidence that this is how you have a great product. I'm convinced that you have a great product, but this is how prospective customers will find you, right? That's what this slide is all about. Team, right? Make sure that if you've already gathered the team, right? It's some of you may not have, right? I think at least some of the pitch decks which I saw, this was a very weak aspect, right? Investors, to give you money, they will look for that it's actually more than you, right? Who are those people? It has to be a very balanced team, ideally, right? Some of the decks which I saw earlier from your colleagues, I think the team was very, very weak. So mostly someone who's done this work himself or herself, right? For example, here I have a technologist, I have someone who will run the business, I have marketing person, I have the scientist and then I also have an advisor, right? So if you have advisors, mention them here. Advisors go a long way, actually. Okay. Okay. Now this starts getting tricky. Is that financials, right? How do I? What financials do I show, right? Now there is an argument is that depending upon at what stage you are, you may not be profitable or there may not be any revenue, but are you thinking that there will be any revenue, right? At least put that, right? Is that okay? I'm thinking by year one, I'm currently in that phase where I'm going to be building this business. Year 6 months down the line, I will have X amount of revenue. And then from after that, another 1 year, I will double that revenue or whatever, right? That growth story has to come out. If you don't have detailed financials, it's probably okay, but at least mention a very high level view of what you're thinking from a revenue standpoint, and again substantiate that revenue, right? If you're saying that I will be selling 10 of those environment equipments, why do you think so? Right? Is it one customer buying 10 or is it 10 customers buying 10, right? Mention that also. Generally, 3 years is good enough in today's world. No one is bothered about more than 3 years. 3 to 5 is an ideal number, right? Don't go more than 5. Sometimes we go 10, and all people are not interested in knowing what happens to this business after 5 years. Probably in 3 years, the venture capitalist would want to exit and make money if you were successful, right? So 3 to 5 is a good guideline. Scalability, as we've talked about it, show the growth story. Make sure that you're getting profitable. Now, people say that, oh, I'm not going to be profitable for next 2 years. It's okay. As long as in year 3 you're getting profitable, and which is compensating for the first 2 years of money which they are investing, it's fine. Show it, right? Last point, when and how much will they make? That is when you're getting into more tricky technical financial business, is that what is my return on the equity, return on capital, right? Those are some financial terms. And Manuji, I think that's where I was asking, right? I don't know how many people will have that kind of a skill to develop financial models, right? Can we take help from UBS and and attach someone from that, or whatever way you're planning this?
We are planning to schedule one session from Professor
Okay.
Suvira again.
Wonderful. If it
From
is at an
finance.
appropriate time, Manuji, I would definitely want to participate in that.
Sure.
Okay. Now, but these are, I'll show you some glimpses. I kept it very, very simple, but these models are sometimes very complex. But you need to get there, right? You need to understand what is revenue, what is gross profit, what is EBITDA. Most investors will look at this, will talk about this term EBITDA, right? EBITDA is nothing but profitability. It's earnings before income tax and depreciation and amortization, right? That's what EBITDA means, this term, right? It's a very common term which investors will ask. Oh, are you EBITDA positive? When will you get EBITDA positive? Because that's a very important parameter which they have in mind, is that if a business is EBITDA positive in year 2, I would love it, basically, right? Depending on what that business is. If you're here, this guy is getting EBITDA positive here in year 4, and then he goes like EBITDA full positive, right? So they will look for some of these terms, and that's why I think that Professor Gill's session will be very, very important. There are spreadsheets available. I think I'm sure UBS will have. I can send one, not a problem. But there is a little technique and understanding required to fill those, right? So that's, I'm glad. I think Dr. Manu, you're already addressing that. Now comes the ask, right? How much funding are you seeking, right? This is almost like, where will I use these funds, right? You have to show that very clearly. Is that I'm asking for X million dollars or whatever, 10 crore rupees, and this is how I will be using those funds. Typical areas I'm sure you know why you need that money, because if you're at a prototype stage, you want to get into more production. So I will be using, say, out of 10 crores, I will use 1 crore for developing that whatever equipment which I need, or buying that equipment which I need, right? Then I will need extra, maybe another crore for hiring the missing team members, right? And expanding my team. The rest for marketing, sales, etc., etc. Show that path, right? So that, if you're asking for, say, a crore, will the investor need to pay you that full 1 crore right now, or is this coming in phases? Show those phases also on the slide, right? Now, many people, I intentionally put this picture, right? Is this will you marry me situation? No, it is not. Actually, that's the mistake which we make. In these 20 minutes, you cannot ask this question, right? It's a wrong time. If you're getting if you're getting more time, the person says, okay, let's talk in more detail. Can you come to my office next week? That's a win. Absolutely a win. They will not sign a check, right? So don't pop that question, like they say. Your call to action is that, how can I provide you with more details? If they get interested, they will ask for details, and that's a win. That's what you're shooting for in these 20 minutes, basically. Okay. Now there may be a question, right? Is that okay? You're asking for, say, 1 crore rupees. What do I get in exchange, right? Have you thought about that? Right? Why should I pay you? Am I giving you a loan and I will get some interest? No, that's not what my business is. I'm not a bank, right? I'm a venture capitalist, or I'm an investor. What will I get? Essentially, what they're asking you is that, what percentage of your company will you give me? Do you even have a company, first of all, is what they will ask, right? If you have, how much have you invested in that company yet? Or who else has invested? So, those details will start coming out. But sometimes in these pitches, probably you will be asked this question. Oh, so what percentage of your company will you give me? Right? I don't know if you will have that answer yet. It's again a tricky question. That is where you gain time and ask for that next meeting. Meanwhile, what Manuji was suggesting, when you're discussing this with Dr. Savira Gill, Manuji, talk about valuation. Absolutely required, because if you don't have valuation of the company, then you will not be able to decide how much percentage of that company. Then it is like thuk laga ke kehte hain na, so that is what it is. Okay, I'll give you 20%, fine, right? But on what basis are you saying that? I want 50% of your company if I pay you 1 crore. How will you solve that problem, right? What percentage? There are many situations in which founders give away a lot of their companies. I have done that personally. I was so excited that somebody's paying me money. Okay, take 50%, no problem. And then I was repenting, right? Because I did not have a valuation, understanding of the valuation, right? So valuation is an outcome of the financial model which you will create. It's a beautiful thing to do. I'm very passionate about this subject, right? You must do this. If for any entrepreneur, it is important. Okay. How do you close? I think you're taking that next step, basically, right? Is that what next? I think we've talked about it. Gain, if you're getting that meeting, absolutely, right? Must thank them. Obviously, if there is a Q&A, open it, answer the questions confidently. Contact details have to be provided for further conversations. Very basic stuff, I think, very obvious stuff. That's what the closing is. Okay, I think this is a repeat. I'm sorry. Now, a few things. Keep it visual, concise. We've talked about it. Don't clutter it. They don't read, right? They just simply scan. It's like, okay, this, okay, this much number, that much number, done. That's what they will do, right? Use charts wherever possible. Charts always convey diagrams, small diagrams, charts always convey. One message, one slide formula. Now you'll say that, how will I fit 10, 12, everything in my 10, 12 slide. That's the trick, right? But you cannot violate that 10, 12 slide idea. Okay. Maybe you're going, if you have three, for example, I think I don't remember the name, but someone from the team, Dr. Manuji, was saying, I do this also, and I do this also, and I do that also. Right. So my key question is, which one are you more passionate about, for which you are looking for money? Right. Stick to that, basically. Right. And then I think we've talked about this, some obvious points. This is something which I've seen has worked. Storytelling is always, people are interested in stories. Everyone wants to hear stories. Those stories have to be compelling. I think we've talked about that starting right. It is like when we open a book, right? If the first chapter or first few paragraphs are not interesting enough, we simply shut it and keep it. Same concept, right? Storytelling is always a great idea. Start with your personal story on why you're passionate about it, why this problem is important. Talk about that. Oh, so and so I faced this problem and this. Someone was pitching to me. I think they were having some, doctors write those prescriptions, right? He literally scared me, and after that, I'm very, very, that really worked for him, right? Is that why? Because this guy had a product in which the prescription from written by hand can be transcribed, and a quality check can be done on those prescriptions by doctors, right? Doctors' handwriting is famous, as we know, right? So he narrated a story to me that his aunt or someone or mother was given the wrong drug for heart condition. That drug actually induced a heart attack and she died, right? So and then this person presented me with the data that there are some 70 million errors which happen like this in the world every day, right? So many people die because of this. So the great sort of a story which he narrated. Then obviously, that's how. And then in the story, he also explained the problem, right? So both things done together. Keep it investor focused. Now that's an important point, actually. If you have access, Manuji, I don't know if everyone will have access to who are these investors, what are their profiles, right? Go to their LinkedIn's, research about them, right? Are they talking about few things already? Are there any posts, right? What are they passionate about? If you are able to find and do that research, then you can tailor your pitch based on that investor, right? It's not about you, it's about them, right? That's absolutely, at this stage, it's about them, it's not about you, right? That's how that's how I would do it. Some common mistakes, I think we've been talking about common mistakes. Don't overload. Too much text is always, like, for example, on this slide, it's too much text. Unrealistic projections. Sometimes we say, okay, I'll be making $10 billion next year. No, yeah, maybe you are able to, but substantiate it. And then some key slides sometimes are missing. I saw that in many slides. Team slide is missing. Sometimes financials are missing. And then storytelling is missing, right? Value proposition is not clear at all. Absolutely. And okay, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, and this is it. Now, but then so what, right? That question comes, is that, okay, you're doing this, but then so what? How does it matter to me, right? Because you're not communicating your value to me. So that's a common mistake which sometimes we do. Very important. Do not miss this. Spell check it again and again, right? Did you notice there is a spelling mistake here? That's by design. So absolutely don't miss this, right? This small thing is that, oh, if this person cannot do a spell check, is my money safe with him, right, or her? That's the point. Yeah. And I think that's what I had. I don't know if there are any questions. Let me stop sharing. Okay. Sadabji, you were saying that you want to take something after the session.
I just wanted to participants to interact during
Absolutely.
that, during conversation. The slide, how they can the headings that we had discussed in that. So now, basically, the session, if we have covered all the aspects of the now, queries resolved if they have any. So the floor is open to the participants. Please, you can ask questions if you have any.
I want to ask one question.
Yeah, good. Dr. Richa, how are you?
Fine, sir.
Good. Please.
So I wanted to ask about that how we can project our figures, although we have not done any sales initially.
Absolutely. Right. So if you've not done any sales, will you do any sales, Dr. Richa? And by when?
What are you asking?
I'm asking you, you've not done any sales, is fine with me, right? Think that I'm the investor. It's fine with me that you've not done any sales, but do you have a plan to do any sales?
Yes.
Yes? Okay. By when? By when will you
Timeline?
do? Yeah, by when will you have your first sale? Let me ask you this. Approximate.
Within 6 months, I think.
6 months. Okay. Great. How much do you think will be your revenue by that first sale?
That has to be calculated, I think.
No problem. Calculate it, but you'll have a number, right? This is where I'm going. You get a number. For example, you're saying, okay, my first sale will be, give me a number, 1 lakh rupees. Okay. And I will be selling 10 of those in next 6 months. Okay. Now my sale is 10 lakh. Put that 10 lakh year 1, 10 lakhs, right? You got a number, correct? You have a number now, Dr. Richa. Yes.
Hanji?
I said I just gave you a number. Did you miss it? Right. So ऐसे आपको calculate करना पड़ेगा. These are projections, right? You'll have to say that, okay, don't say that I will sell 100 pieces of whatever I'm making in next 3 months, right? If you are able to, that's wonderful, right? But then are you able to substantiate what you're saying is the point, right?
Okay.
So numbers आपके पास आएंगे, right? Because see, if you're saying, I don't know when my sale will happen, I don't know how much I will sell it for, then you don't have a business. Sorry.
Okay.
Right? Investor will say, यार, इसको तो पता ही नहीं है, तो मैं क्यों पैसे दूं अपने, right?
One thing more, if valuation is to be added in a slide, so how can we calculate this valuation before sales?
No. See, what I'm talking about is projected sales, right? You may not have actual sales. Absolutely okay, right? It's absolutely fine. Right? When I started this company in 2021, right in the middle of COVID, for at least 8 months, I did not have a $0 sale, right? Nothing, right? But then I had to convince an investor who was actually sitting in South Africa, imagine, right? Because he was stuck there. I had to think about how much will I sell? What am I selling, right? Why do I think that I'll be able to get cloud migration business? Because there is COVID, right? Because there is COVID going on, everyone wants to go online and digital, and hence cloud business is going to boom, right? That was my story. Now, how much is it going to boom is something which I had projected, and it was convincing enough, right? If you that is where your market opportunity slide comes, like your total addressable market, your serviceable addressable market, and then you drill it down and you're saying, okay, I have a market which I can address, which is about 50 crore rupees, right? Now that 50 crore, I will not get everything myself, because once my business comes into the market, after 1 year, a competitor will crop up. It's a normal business process, right? But what will I capture in year one, say 10 lakh rupees, in year two, and then, by the way, you don't have to be even profitable in year one, right? 10 lakh rupees, I'm spending 50 lakh. It's okay. As long as you get profitable at some stage, right? You're talking about valuation. You'll have to create that sheet first, and then valuation will come. Do you understand?
Okay, thank you, sir.
Yeah, I sent some scribbles on your slide deck. I don't know if you saw that and noticed it. Yeah, okay. All right.
Sir, kindly share this PPT also, please.
I will definitely do that. Yes,
Okay, thank you.
absolutely. Adesh?
Sanjay ji, can I take a few moments of yours, please?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Can
Go
you
ahead.
hear me?
Absolutely, I can.
So, yeah. Okay, so here is my situation, which is basically a company which is doing and has successfully done what we call breakthrough innovations or, disruptive innovations. And they are in critical fields of saving lives, particularly in bomb blasts under vehicles, as well as in vehicle crashes.
Okay.
So we were working for the defense, and we had a patent and so on and so forth. So we took a part of that and I brought it into the civil side so that I could talk about it. नहीं तो मैं ऐसी meeting join ही नहीं कर सकता. So
Absolutely.
the civil side is that in India, let us say we have 150,000 deaths each year on year, despite seat belts and airbags and whatever else you have. So there is a process that we realized was happening, and we brought it out in the case of explosions. And those situations are 1,000 times worse mechanically for shock and effect as compared to vehicle crashes. So now we are in the process of looking for funding for vehicle crashes, because we need to show this in crash test labs, not just one or two tests. A series of 10 to 15 tests have to be done. Okay, we have absolutely no doubt that it will succeed. But the funding for this kind of a thing, firstly, in India, we don't get funded for engineering stuff. That's a big problem. We get funded for software or some method of doing business or some app, but real engineering में नहीं आता है. So that is one problem of mine. And the second problem, of course, is the newness, the completely new approach, and even the topmost people who deal with vehicle crashes are boxed by it. तो ऐसी position में हूँ, obviously I cannot discuss everything. I can if there is time, but it's not right. The others may get totally bored. So I was wondering if I could have a few, moments with you anytime convenient to you. So I can tell you what it is. Then let's see how we can take it forward.
Absolutely. Most welcome, Adesh ji. I will, Manuji has my contact information. I'm on that number, is on WhatsApp. We can fix a time and then definitely
Okay.
discuss. But it appears to me that someone has already talked about this. I don't know if I met you last year in the university, but someone has talked about this, or was it? I don't know, but it sounds very familiar to me.
Mercurial Research Technologies. It's about taking away the lethality of shock waves. That's the basic.
Yeah, maybe Manuji, I'm forgetting the name of, was it Harjot or someone, right, who was working with you?
So, yes, Manuji and his team are fully aware of the work that I'm doing.
Yeah, so maybe
So,
I think I've heard,
yes.
somebody talked about it when we were doing some one-on-one sessions at the university last year.
Have a talk separately. I'll take about half an hour of yours and put it to you completely. Okay.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much.
If you started building a pitch deck, send it to me. I can go through it and then we can.
Yeah, I have one. I'll send it to Manuji. He'll put it through to you. Right.
Sounds good.
Thank
Sounds
you.
good.
Thank you. Thanks.
Absolutely.
Very
All right.
good morning, sir. I'm Dr. Mary. Am I audible, sir?
Absolutely, Dr. Mary. Go ahead,
Thank
please.
you. Sir, actually in March, we are also participating in the summit. So my question is that my whatever we have developed, that is in the healthcare sector, and the prototype is already developed. But at this stage, we have to validate it, right? And for validation, we need some kind of raw materials for that, and also one important thing is the lab that which is required, the quality of lab that we do not have at this stage. We are using the lab facility of somebody who is my friend, and say you can say that he's the we are taking his consultation, so like that. So sir, when I will approach the investor, so in two different cases are there. If I do not ask for my own lab facility to develop, the budget will be reduced. And if I want to ask for my own lab facility, and also it is going to up to crores, 1 crore. Roughly I have estimated. So what do you think, sir? Should I approach like that? Yes, along with the raw materials, I need to develop my lab, and so this is what I require for the total, I mean, validation. Or should I approach only for the consumables what I need, and I should not go for the I mean, my own lab facility to develop, and I will take the consultancy the way I'm taking right now. So what is your suggestion, sir? What would be good for me?
Yeah, I think it's a this is I'll have to look at what are you trying to do, Dr. Mary, right? Why is that owning your own lab important for the business, right? I'm not saying for you, for the business, because once the investor gives you money, it becomes his business as well,
Because,
right?
sir, if the business, it will be sustainable only when you have your own facility, right, sir?
There you
Otherwise,
go.
it will be a parasite I mean, for long term, you will be like a parasite, no? So it is always better to have your own facility and be independent. So that's why.
See, now you've answered your own question, Mary, Dr. Mary, right? That's where I was going with you. I know that answer, the answer to this would have been this only, right? But then you asked the question and you answered it yourself. Absolutely, you should ask for what is important for the business to be successful, right? Now, what you can also do is that, like I said, when you're doing that ask slide, right, in which you're asking for money, you can actually phase it. You can say phase one, I need X amount of rupees only to do this. Phase two, I will build my own lab. Unless you're saying my building my own lab is the first thing which I need, right? That's something which you're an expert. I'm not an expert on that, right?
Right.
If you're, for example, this is like when I started my company, I need money to open an office, or do I need money to hire a cloud expert, right? So I
Right.
said, I want money to hire a cloud expert. Office can wait, no problem. I still
Right.
don't have an office. We are running a full remote company, right, of 125 people, right? Office is not important. That time it was appearing to be very, very important to me, right? So
I got
maybe
your
you're
point.
right.
I got your point.
That's how you should ask money. But then if that lab is important for the business, for that investor's business, you should definitely plan it in your plan. Right?
Uh,
So
As you suggested, it is better to actually bifurcate it in two phases. It's a good idea, what I
yeah,
feel. Thank you so much.
absolutely.
Thank you. Thank
Absolutely.
you, sir.
Yeah. All right. Is there anything else?
Yeah, I have a question, sir.
Yes,
Uh,
Dr. Gauri.
Yeah, so we are a pre-revenue stage. This is a biotech startup. We actually develop an active ingredient from the biomass. Active ingredient like a UV filter for sunscreen formulation or anti-aging formulations like that. And we have a final product from the scratch. So we develop active ingredient, then we put it in the formulation to make it final product. So we have a very good team. We have a patent, and we are in MVP stage, and we also have a NDA with L'Oreal India and we also transferred one technology from some other institute. So we are a 1-year-old startup, 1 year, 4 months old startup. So we are asking 2 CR to scale it up. We also have some seed grant from the Punjab state, around 16 lakhs we got in last 1 year. So we are also trying some other source to get for R&D. But all the grant we can use it only for R&D, not for the scale it up.
Of course.
So how you validate valuation will come, because we are asking for a 2 CR. Of course, they will ask the valuation, the equity, everything.
Yes. Yeah.
So now it is a
That's
problem how valuation. If we want a 2 CR, we don't want exactly 2 CR right now. We will right now you told we can go by phase. Maybe initially we need a 50 lakh to scale it up. So
no,
that's
don't do
how I
that
can.
like that. Don't do it like that, Dr.
Okay.
Gauri. See, you're at a stage where you have a product and you're saying you have some partnerships and you already have some grants, right? So I think you should to focus on that financial sheet which I'm talking about, right? It's when Dr. Manu kind of lines you up. I don't know what is that timeline, Dr. Manu. Think about without bothering about that session. Think about a simple financial sheet, right? Is that again same thing which I was telling Dr. Richa? Is that when are you going to make that first sale, right? How much will that first sale will be worth? How many such sales will you make, right? Put it in Excel, right? Put that in an Excel, and then along with it, it's like simple revenue and expense sheet. That's what you need. That then your numbers will start flowing automatically. It will go into a valuation sheet. Your valuation will come out like magic. I'm telling you, right? It is. It's your realistic imagination which has to start working. Think about numbers, right? If you have acumen for numbers, then think about it, right? As a scientist, I'm sure um, numbers is what you deal with, right? Every day. There's a different kind of numbers, right? There are I've learned valuation from the best person in the world. His name is Ashwath Damodaran. He was my professor of finance during my MBA. He's developed some excellent models in which we can, with some effort, arrive at good value, very accurate valuations of company, right? So, but your starting point is not the valuation sheet. I can easily email it to you, and then you'll be confused, right? But your first step is creating that financial sheet, that revenue and expense sheet, which will give you the cash flow. Valuation is all about cash flow, right? Something called as cash flow in the finance world, right? It's not about profitability, by the way.
Okay.
EBITDA is important. Cash is important. How much cash are you generating is what investor will look for, because that will tell you the valuation. Valuation is a full-fledged subject, right? We cannot do this in 2 hours. It's a very long discussion, right? Probably we'll need at least 10 sessions of 2 hours each to understand valuation, right? But your colleagues from the finance world can help, absolutely. Okay. But your starting point, Dr. Gauri, is not that valuation sheet. Your starting point is that, like I was telling Dr. Richa, when and how much. When and how much. That's what you need, right? And to make that kind of money, or whatever that revenue is, how much are you going to be spending? Revenue expense, month by month by month by month, or year by year by year by, or quarter by quarter, whatever is more feasible for you. Without that, there cannot be any valuation. There is another thing which I want to mention, is that if your expenses are always more than revenue, right? Your year one expenses may be more than your revenue, right? Which means you're a loss making company year one. You're a loss making company year two. Fine. Year three, it has to turn profitable. I'm saying year three as an example. At some stage, it has to turn profitable, cash positive. Only then the valuation can come. For a money losing company, there is no value, basically. That's the valuation formula. Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. Hi, AK. Go ahead, AK. Sorry, I don't know your name. I'm calling you AK because that's what is written here. You're on mute if you're speaking. All right, I don't think so. AK is interested in asking a question. Shekhar, yeah, go ahead, Shekhar.
Hi. Am I audible to you?
I am. You are audible. Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah. Thank you very much. So, yeah, my name is Chandrasekhar. I am from MTech. I'm a scientist there. So, see, I am running an innovation hub in high terrain area. Okay. So my question is like you highlighted that venture capitalists generally look for the bigger figures in terms of revenues or cash flows and other things. The problem with us, we started our innovation hub to empower the communities in the high terrain area to come with their own problem in that region, solve their problems, work, and that's how we started. But now, see, after this presentation, I came to know that the problems the students opted, are like region specific. So so the question is how to move forward, because like, see, when we gonna pitch for the funds, obviously VCs will look for the bigger picture or the a fit all approach. So how do we need to realign ourselves, or shall we go with this, because we are receiving good traction from the government, we are good receiving interest from the government for taking up our technology and deploying in the high terrain regions, that we are receiving interest from the government. But I believe
So, Shekhar,
yeah,
see, I
yeah,
think my answer is similar. Similar is that it's okay. You thought about regional. That's actually good, right? That you're testing this in one region. What stops you to in expanding into another region? For example, you're doing it with Punjab government, go to Haryana government, go to UP, go to wherever, right? That's an expansion plan, right? Your numbers can still be bigger, right? Why do you think that it's only regional and hence my numbers will be smaller? And that's also okay. Sometimes smaller numbers can have much bigger valuations if your product is unique enough. That's also okay. But what I'm saying is that investors actually like this. Is that I'm not going all over, right? I'm not talking about that I'm going to solve the world hunger problem or boil the ocean, right? I'm going to actually do this only in this region, then go to the next region, then go to the next region, then go to the next region. As long as your financial sheet is showing that growth, your numbers can be bigger. So don't hide yourself into that regional thing, until unless there is some aspect which stops you that I cannot go beyond this region, right? Until unless that is your constraint. If that is not your constraint, then your numbers can be bigger because you're starting with one region, but then nothing is stopping you to expand. In fact, that's actually good. If one government has actually endorsed you, another government will also endorse you. The beauty with government business is this only, right? It's like bhed chal. Oh, अच्छा पंजाब ने किया, मैं भी करता हूँ.
very good.
You'll have to get hold of some politician, obviously, right? And then do it like that. But
Okay.
don't worry about numbers. Don't. I would say, don't shy away from being bold in your numbers. That's okay. As long as you're able to substantiate it, right? Is that if somebody says, are you crazy? This is not going to happen. So then you can ask a question, why do you think this may not happen, right? Or they can ask you a question, why do you think this will happen? You should have an answer. If they don't have an answer, you win, right?
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. See, key thing in these pitches I've seen, and I've made those mistakes multiple number of times, is that we shy away. We think, oh no, थोड़ा थोड़ा करके बताते हैं, थोड़ा सा पैसा ले लेते हैं, right? Yeah, they will give you थोड़ा पैसा ही, right? But talk about what you think is possible, the art of the possible. Absolutely, you should talk about it, right? Don't shy away. Yeah. Okay. Who else is left? Anyone else has any other questions? Manuji?
I have one more thing.
Anji, Dr.
Hello.
Gauri. Yeah.
So TAM, we know how to calculate. We know that. But how to differentiate SOM and SAM? What is exact difference between these two?
Yeah. This is actually like what Shekhar was talking about, right? Is that I have a total addressable market of 100 crores. If I tap into the whole country, right? I have the SOM, which is the serviceable obtainable, SAM, which is a serviceable addressable market, which is about 50 crores, because 100 crores I will not be able to address. Why? Because my product is not addressing some aspects of that 100 crores, right? अब हम pitch 50 crore पे, I've reached 50 crores now, right? Now, what I'm saying is that I'm going to restrict myself in Tamil Nadu, for example, right? Because the need of this thing is more in Tamil Nadu. Like, for example, what Shekhar is saying, we have thought regional only. Fine, my serviceable, obtainable market is only this much, is only Tamil Nadu region or southern part of the country because of whatever, right? Monsoons, winter monsoons cause this, right? Hence, that is my service, that is my obtainable market. This is what I can capture. And later on, I will expand and then go to the SAM. And then, God willing, I will capture the entire TAM, which never happens. You understand what I'm saying? The difference between SAM and SOM? That's very confusing. I know, right? But SOM is which I will obtain. It's my obtainable market, right? Addressable, SAM is addressable market. I can address it, but not right now, right? But if you think that if you come to that situation, Dr. Gauri, that is that total market size is 100 crores, SAM is 50 crores, and SOM becomes 1 crore, don't bother about SAM. Don't even mention it. Just stay with TAM, SAM, done.
Okay.
Right? It's okay. They say that the entire SAM I can obtain, no problem. Right?
Oh.
But then again, you have to substantiate it with confidence. Right? So SOM is a piece of SAM which I can obtain with my current infrastructure or with what I'm planning, basically. By getting your money, I will take this part of the market. See, this concept is only to give confidence that even if I address this much, you're good, Mr. Investor. I will make you money. Don't worry. That's the confidence which you're giving to them by funneling it.
Okay.
But if your SOM becomes too small, right, then don't mention it. Generally, it will not become too small.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, I think we may end this. It's midnight my time. So until unless I can help, maybe one more question. Dr. Manu Sadaf ji.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Actually, I think we are done with maximum questions. The
Okay.
people
So
who
what I'm going to do, yeah, and then feel free to pass my information, Sadaf ji, to anyone who is interested. I have no problem until unless it is at a decent time. It is at a not so decent time. I will not be able to see the message, but very happy to talk to anyone one-on-one or review the pitch decks which you've created. Right, I've done for a couple of your colleagues and provided some feedback. Happy to do that.
Definitely, sir. Sir, I'll be happy to share the details. And if we have any query with us also and they want your intervention in that, I will definitely look into that also.
Yeah. See, another thing, just one more thing is that, I don't know if you noticed, my pitch deck to you guys was very simple, right? I was trying to make this a balance between if I send it to you, should it make sense to you? Or and when I'm presenting, it should not look like, oh, what is this, right? This story is likhi hui hai itni sari, right? That should not happen. So try and come to that aspect, right? There's some of the pitch decks which I've seen so far from some of your colleagues. are not visually appealing, right? Unfortunately, we are living in that world where visual appeals are also equally important. I was never believing that, but it is important. Trust me. Okay. Keeping it simple, concise. Do another thing. I think all of you should just Google whatever companies you like, right? Airbnb, just Google it. I can send you Airbnb's first pitch deck. See how simple it was. It was 10 slides, very quick. Some of the famous companies which in the world, their pitch, at least American companies, all those pitch decks, the initial pitch decks are available online free. You can just simply download them, look at them, look at Facebook, look at YouTube, right? When YouTube was not with Google, YouTube was a separate company, right? Their first pitch deck is available. Look at them. You'll get a lot of ideas. And then there are some bad decks also. By the way, they also got money, right? There's a company called Foursquare, which was, I think someone was asking, I did this and then you can pivot to another idea, right? Foursquare did exactly the same thing. They started with some social media competing with Facebook, didn't work, but they got $256 million using that pathetic looking pitch deck, right? But at least they are learning, right? Is that there was something, everything was bad in that pitch deck, but they still got money. That's also possible, but those times were very different times, right? So work on the visual appeal. Now, there are a few tools which I use. There is this website called beautiful.ai. It actually creates beautiful decks. That's what I was using right now. And it's a AI based platform. I don't know if it is free for Indian universities. I have my New York University account and it's free for me, so I use it all the time. If you enter a Punjab University email address, maybe it is free for you also. Try it. It's called beautiful.ai. It's very, very good. Actually, quickly you can create beautiful slides. Whatever you were seeing today is all beautiful.ai work, not my work. I was just giving them instruction. Create a slide which says something like, sometimes you have to give content, right? So I was giving content and then it was converting it into a beautiful slide. Another platform is Napkin, napkin.ai. That's definitely free. So use that. Use some of those tools, but work on the visual appeal of your decks in this 20 minutes conversation. It will make a lot of difference. Sometimes people say that no, not important. Content is more important. Yes, without content, the looks are not important, but looks are also important, unfortunately. That's my experience. Okay.
Definitely, sir. I think that every participant has taken care of all these points that you mentioned. So these are the tips they should use in creating their pitch, keeping it
Absolutely.
simple and making it attractive visually and trying to convey all the necessary information to the investor to gain their trust. So this is what they have to do.
Yeah, there's another source which a platform called Upwork. I don't know if
Okay.
you've used Upwork. Upwork is something where freelancers come and help. Basically, not help, they charge money, but it's like very minimal money, right? I've used Upwork quite a bit for work pieces. And then most of those people who are doing that work are sitting in India actually, right? You just give them a slide deck and then say that just beautify it. They will simply transform it. These are graphic designers, right? All kinds of freelancers are available on Upwork at very, very affordable prices. So, that's another thing which you can use. Okay. All
I
right.
hope they have noted down this is the very crucial information that you have passed, like what from where they can get help for building the presentation. Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah. Yeah, see, this is why what I'm saying is that we've all gone through those stages, right? My first pitch deck was, I still have it. I laugh at it sometimes. I know what was I thinking? Right? Some 37 slides and stories after stories, because there is this fear that, oh, I may not miss something, right? That, oh, if I don't talk about this, probably my point will not go across. That never happens. Your point is actually going across, seeing you talk about it. That's what helps. Talk confidently. Okay. All
Thank
right.
you very much for the insightful session. So this really
Absolutely.
will be a helpful for each and everyone, those who were here today in the meeting.
संजय सैनी
See,
जी
I
आपका बहुत धन्यवाद आपने बड़ा
हाँ जी
अपना
मनु जी, what I'll do is मैं आपके email पे, because I have your email, I'll send you some material. One is this slide deck. Then there are some other. There's a template of creating a pitch deck, a blank, not a blank template, but some. I think I've already sent it to you, but I'll send it again, which you can pass on to everyone. So.
Right. और वो फाइनेंशियल वाला आप कह रहे हैं ना कि एक सेशन फाइनेंस के ऊपर हो तो उसका क्या कंटेंट रहना चाहिए अगर काइंडली वो थोड़ा बता दें हमें कि फाइनेंस वाला लेक्चर
फाइनेंशियल, आप डॉक्टर सुवीरा को बोलो कि जी मेरे को हमें ये फाइनेंशियल प्रोजेक्शन शीट बनानी सिखाओ, और जो विच शुड लीड टू वैल्यूएशन ऑफ द कंपनी. Financial projections leading to valuation is what you should ask for from Dr. Suvira, right?
ठीक है जी
आपको एक शीट
आप
भेजूंगा.
हाँ मेरे को जरा ये ना एक आधा सेंटेंस इसका बना के व्हाट्सएप भी कर देंगे ना तो ज्यादा ठीक रहेगा वही मैं फिर समझ लूंगा.
No problem, no problem. I'll send it to you. But that's very important, Manu ji. उसके
ठीक
बिना
है
everyone will struggle, right?
करेक्ट.
Okay. All right. Wonderful.
थैंक यू जी धन्यवाद बहुत धन्यवाद.
Take care.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you very much, sir.
All now we can leave the meeting.
Thank you, ma'am.